as a boy, I would look at all these videos and pictures and think, how cool would it be if I could be on that trip?
There's just not anything like it that I know in the world.
Yeah, thanks David. Thanks for coming over.
No worries.
Yeah. We had an awesome day with one of your guides.
Yeah, with Javier. Great.
With Javier, and basically he was amazing. He was like completely frothed.
Yeah. Well, I think we were all really excited about how good it actually was out today. We were all a little bit, yesterday we had this rain and we knew it froze up a little bit, and although it turned to snow overnight, and we actually had about 25 centimeters in the morning, and as the day got on, we got more and more and more.
It was like almost half a meter. But let me introduce you first to
yeah.
our audience.
Yeah.
So basically, you are the founder, correct?
Yeah.
Founder of Evergreen
Outdoor Center.
Center.
And Backcountry Guides.
And you're basically one of the largest guide companies here in the Hakuba area.
Yeah, I think we are the largest, ski school, backcountry guiding, and also we run an academy for ski and snowboard instructor certification.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about the company. Like, when did you found it? And
well, 2000, I started doing avalanche courses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Canada, from
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a Canadian Avalanche Association professional member. And
Okay.
in 2000, started teaching my first recreational courses
Mm-hmm.
here in Hakuba.
Mm-hmm.
And
So when was that? Say it again.
2000.
2000. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So it's been 23 years now.
so that was even before the whole JaPow hype.
Yeah,
Basically.
I tried to coin wasabi powder, but it didn't pick up.
Ah, okay.
But JaPow won out,
Uh-huh.
and that was, when I first started. Really, I was guiding more Japanese than I was foreigners.
Uh-huh.
I think the crossover between more foreigners than Japanese was probably somewhere around 2007 or 8,
Uh-huh.
where I started having more foreign clients than Japanese.
Okay.
And I really was putting the push on, I guess, at that time with some other companies in town
Mm-hmm.
to market to foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
And not just Australians. We had gone to Sydney to market for Australians, but actually getting over to Europe, to the UK, to Finland,
Right.
To Russia, over to some
Mm-hmm.
other areas, Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
Canada, US.
Okay.
Trying to diversify,
Okay.
people coming over. So
Right.
trying to get more Europeans and North Americans than just, and
Australians.
then lately, I mean, about 6 years ago, we started, doing sales and marketing more to Taiwan, Hong Kong, China.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Australians the biggest client group.
Yeah, still, I would say that they are on par with
Europeans.
with our Chinese speaking Asians.
Uh-huh.
So whether that be from Singapore,
Uh-huh.
Taiwan, Hong Kong.
But even for free riding, skiing.
For free riding, we have a lot of Australians,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of North Americans and Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we have a few Chinese speakers,
Uh-huh.
but very, very few. It's usually like first time, and they need instruction
Right.
on how to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So then, how comes you chose Hakuba? Basically,
I
probably.
think Hakuba chose me more
Yeah?
than I chose Hakuba.
Ah, okay.
But my now wife, Mariko,
She's Japanese.
she's Japanese. We met in Whistler,
Okay.
and we were going out, and she was heading back after we'd sort of been going steady for a year or so,
Mm-hmm.
and she asked me if I wanted to come to this place called Hakuba,
Mm-hmm.
and I said sure, I'll go check it out, and loved it,
Okay.
and that was the summertime.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, with these mountains full of snow, like I saw some photos,
Mm-hmm.
and it was gonna be insane, because they're steep, peaks. They're not mellow slopes.
Yeah.
They're quite aggressive terrain,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I ski patrolled that
Uh-huh.
winter,
Okay.
And fell in love with the skiing here, with the trees, with just the amount of snow that we got.
Yeah.
And that time we did heli skiing as well through the patrol, really kind of caught me.
Okay.
The next winter I stayed and worked for Cortina ski area. So the first year was Tsugayake, the next year was Cortina, and I really helped Cortina with their avalanche control programs. And it sort of became my I guess my project, my goal to open up trees in this valley, because at that time it was forbidden
Okay.
to go in. You'd have your lift tickets
taken. So we need to thank you.
Yeah, I guess you could thank me. I put a lot of work in behind it. Not many people know that, but I put a lot of work into opening up the trees here for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think the Japanese are quite conservative, right?
Very, yeah.
But well done. Good
Yeah,
job.
thank you.
Because I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's my first time to Japan. My sales team has been here many times, and they're actually, most of them are working remotely, and most of them are staying actually the whole season.
Yeah.
And they prefer it over Europe, and obviously because of the snow, and obviously also because of the tree runs, which are wow,
amazing.
So I've been here now for 5 days, and 3 out of 5 were just awesome.
Amazing days. Right? Yeah.
And it's incredible. We would love to have that snow in the Alps,
in
Europe.
for sure. And in many places, right?
Right.
It's amazing snow.
So can you explain the weather patterns a little bit for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, they've changed over the years. I mean, climate change has changed the weather patterns for sure.
As well here?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in saying that, last year was a real, what I remember as being a real Japanese winter, where we just had snowfall after snowfall. We would have some windstorms, but not a lot of windstorms. We didn't have any warm-ups during the season, so from December all the way through to pretty much the end of middle of March.
Okay.
So we had 3.5 months of winter
Okay.
without a warm-up. 1 day or 2 days got close to zero, but no rain. This year we've had 2 rain events during the season, which isn't, let's to say, unusual. It can happen. We're obviously very low elevation. We're close to the coast. So those things can happen. But generally from mid-December through to mid-February, this time of the year, generally we wouldn't get too many warm-ups. And we would usually have a consistent amount of snow coming in. And that's usually brought in by strong jet stream that dips down over top of Siberia, and then brings very cold, dry air, basically that comes across off the peninsula, the Korean peninsula, and right across at us here. And because it then goes across a warm current that is the Japan Sea, it's like a sponge. It just sucks up all the moisture off the sea. So if you ever look at like a satellite image, when that cold air is coming down across, you will see about a 50 kilometer buffer of no cloud off of the the Eurasian continent, and then you'll just see cloud across the Japan Sea.
So this where it loads up,
and then what happens is it comes and it hits the big peaks here, and of course the front side, the coastal side, gets hit often the hardest. So areas like Tateyama, that's why they get so much snow. But then it keeps lifting and it drops over the back of, so we get a bit drier snow on this side, just because of that extra elevation and a little bit less moisture content in the snow.
Okay.
And so we generally get a good dry snow, even though it may not be very cold temperatures. So drier than what most people would expect at say -5 to -10 degrees, which is a fairly common temperature during that time frame. And then the nice thing is there's usually also probably 2 days of clear weather before the next storm comes in. So it often gives you a lot of time to actually get up and enjoy the Alpine as well.
Yeah, which is incredible. Huh?
Yeah.
Mountains go up to 3,000 meters.
Just
almost.
under 3,000 meters at the top peaks, and it's easy access from the ski resorts that go up to about 1850. And depending on the resort you're on, it can be straight into, like on Hapo, it's straight into Alpine terrain. Goryu 47, it's sort of tree line, but not an Alpine until you get quite a ways up. And Sagayake is still below tree line, and a beautiful large bowl for touring up into. And that's where we do a lot of our backcountry tours, because it is generally, safer terrain to manage in all types of weather. Maybe a little bit more protected from the wind. Generally, you can work either simple or challenging terrain and not have to get into that complex terrain all the time. Whereas Hapo is pretty much all complex terrain. Today I went up there in the morning because I had a client and we went to check it out. We were probably the only people that actually had dropped in. And I had to be careful. Obviously there's new snow on a crust, which is fairly obvious that you're going to get new snow instability and things sliding. But we managed the terrain and mitigated the hazard there, and we had a good run. He was impressed that it was that good. But then I said, why don't we head out towards sort of Otari area, and the reports were that the snow was good this morning, and with the way that it's been snowing, it's been getting better and better. So.
Yeah, what I found out is, although there's one ski resort next to the other, that there's actually quite a difference between the ski resorts in terms of microclimate as well, right?
Definitely, yes.
So the furthest north,
Cortina,
yeah,
often gets the most amount of snow.
Yeah,
Not always. I mean, Cortina, Norikura, Sagayake, depending on how the storm comes in, they all have bowls, like these bowl sort of formations, and trees also to catch a lot of the snow. So even when it's blowing, the trees will often slow down the wind speed and drop snow.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened today. We left here, basically Hapo, and here probably in the morning, I don't know, like 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters, or
maybe 10.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
But there it was in the beginning already 25, 30.
Yeah.
And then within like probably 3 hours we got another
10 to 15. Yeah, exactly. By the end of the day, there was probably 20 centimeters again during the daytime.
Right. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really good. So, and then Hapo, from what I've seen, is it gives you more access to the Alpine, right? Which
is great on the days when you need access.
Yeah.
And when you have stability and access and visibility up there, it's nothing better. It's heli skiing off a ski lift.
Right. And then the other resorts further south.
You have Hakuba 47 and Goryu are the two next biggest areas. They've got some great terrain, some great runs. It would be even better if they actually opened up some trees there, but they're very reluctant. 47 has a small tree zone, they call it, that you again have to do a sign-in waiver and receive an armband, or I think they have a pinny, like a bib. Okay. Yeah. Which I don't know how many people want to wear bibs.
Yeah.
I mean, some people think it's cool, so they
so basically for the freerider, the northern resource.
Pretty much from Hakuba north is generally the better
Right.
district for the freeriders.
And there's now like a lift that was just recently built, right? In
Yeah, and
Norikura.
you got to go on that today.
Probably 5 times.
Yeah.
Runs. So we spent most of the time there.
Yeah, so that little area there, Wakaguri, Wakaguri Mine, which means young walnut.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, not young chestnut.
Okay.
Young chestnut peak
Mm-hmm.
there. And it has some amazing north and south facing terrain. We used to always tour to it.
Yeah, that's what
But now
said.
there's a lift right up to it, so if we can...
It's a little bit sad, like you're little...
I don't know, mixed emotions. I mean, I've had some great days there this year,
Yeah.
and you're just like, wow, it just makes for more terrain to show guests, some great spots right off the lift.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone wants to hike for turns,
Yeah.
right? I love hiking for turns,
Yeah.
but having another lift there.
Right.
And I'd talked to Washizawa-san, the owner there, about actually the possibility of running a cat ski operation that would have taken people up in a cat to that same peak.
Okay.
And he listened to me and he said, "Oh, that's a great idea. That's really good," sort of thing. And then there was some issues about roads and that sort of thing.
Right.
And then that talk just sort of faded away, and that was fine. And then the next thing I heard was that he had. He was going to build a lift up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, is this true?
Yeah.
I was like, yep, it's all true. We're going to do it. And he got it done. So
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it puts you right in the best spot, right?
yeah.
And we have seen a couple of pros skiing there, and plenty of lines actually for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's such a long ridge, and you can go both ways down from there.
Yeah. I mean,
both sides.
You can go almost 360 degrees, probably 300 degrees.
Yeah.
From that spot. There are obviously hazards there, and it's not avalanche controlled, so the patrol are not doing any avalanche control.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Norwegian fellow who died in an avalanche. He was at the back of his pack as they were traversing out what's called the Kurokawa Zawa, which is the Black River Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's very unfortunate, but I can see that happening again if you don't put some sort of information or educational stuff in there, because even today I went down, going down through the terrain was fine. I was setting off some small controllable size 1 loose sloughs and soft slabs, but then when you get down to the valley and you have to come out, you're putting yourself under these large open slopes, and so we're going one at a time.
Pretty steep most of the time.
It's very steep,
right?
yeah. It's definitely avalanche terrain.
Yeah.
And that's what got that fellow about 4 years ago. So it is an area that people do need to respect and understand that probably hiring a guide is a good idea, especially on a snow powder day. But even for a couple of days hasn't snowed, and it may or may not have been healing, or it could be getting worse.
Yeah, let's hope for the best, huh?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess they do already quite a good job. Everybody needs to register if you go up that lift. Everybody needs to leave his phone number.
You have to have your three.
armband.
You have to have your 3 kit. Your probe, your shovel, and your beacon, and a helmet. And there's a couple of suggestions that I put in there. I mean, I'm trying to get them a beacon gate at the bottom so that people's beacons are
tested
checked before they go up, and just to make sure that they do have a beacon. The other thing is the idea of always having a buddy, so not letting singles up the lift.
Yeah, sure.
And they're hesitant to do that, to not let singles up. And I was like, well, I think everyone should have at least 2 people on that piece of paper.
Right.
That you have a buddy system, that if something happens to one, the other one is helping you. Otherwise, no one knows where
So-
that person went.
So what are the rescue protocols up there?
So right now, there's none.
There's
This is
none.
the thing. It's. I mean, when you said earlier,
Yeah.
Japan's very conservative,
Mhm.
but then does things like this,
Mhm.
which are, I think, amazing.
Mhm.
Like, the concept of it is great. It just needs a little bit more.
Yeah, I can easily see
Yeah.
that there's.
Today there could have been problems.
Yeah, I mean it
Right.
was probably I mean there was also quite a bit of wind, huh?
Mhm.
and probably some of the runs had like probably 50, 70, 80
Mhm.
centimeters
Yeah.
sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And then fresh,
least 50
very
anyways, yeah.
loose,
Yeah.
and with 40, 45, sometimes a little bit more even
Mm-hmm.
degrees.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Anywhere between 30 to 50 degrees.
Right.
Some of those slopes.
Yeah. I mean, we recommend all of our clients to hire guides
Mhm.
anyway.
Yeah.
And I totally see what you're saying there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think are the advantages over Hokkaido?
Well, I mean, I've been up to Hokkaido and I was actually planning to spend a year there early on when I probably about 23 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't see myself in those mountains.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they're fairly small mountains.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, up to about 2,000 meters. In Niseko, the angle of slope is usually not very steep,
Mm-hmm.
or if it is steep, it's for a short pitch and then
Mhm.
it's out again. I like long,
Mhm.
steep. The trees that are here,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wide open
Mm-hmm.
spaces here. They're not often, sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Niseko, like strawberry fields and above Hanazono,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, talk to me as sort of wider areas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's quite low angle.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was why, telemarking and snowboarding were really, really big there.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get more area space, and then telemark as well, lower
Mhm.
angle
Mm-hmm.
and sort of getting out a few areas, walking out. And, I think for, intermediate people that are just getting into the backcountry, I think it can be good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be really deep though, so
Mm-hmm.
they do get a good amount of snow.
Mhm.
Like they get a lot of snow. I think certain seasons we get more snow here.
Mm-hmm. So what's the average here? Do you know? Just
Depends on where you're
statistically?
taking the average.
Yeah.
But usually we say about 12 meters of snowfall
Mhm.
at the top of the gondolas.
And what about in Niseko, for let's say, for example?
They might say 13 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So slightly
possibly,
more.
Slightly more, possibly.
Mhm.
Although, like on some, like last year's, we were up close to 20 meters
Yeah,
snowfall.
that's what I heard. Yeah.
And that's not an anomaly. That's, I would say every 5 years we have a year that's 20 meters.
Yeah.
And then every 5 years we have a year that's maybe 9
Mhm.
meters,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing,
Mhm.
10 to 10 meters,
Mm-hmm.
which is a terrible year,
Terrible
right? I mean, for some
Still
places
good.
it's like, wow, there's a lot of snow, but
Yeah.
for us that's like, a terrible year.
Right.
So somewhere in between that,
Right.
and I would say that our average is probably 12 to 13
Mm-hmm.
per year,
Mm-hmm.
at about 1,500 meters.
And probably the ski touring, right? Like, or the Alpine, really.
Well, the thing is here is it's just the immense space for ski touring,
Yeah.
whether that be in the winter
Yeah.
or in the spring.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people don't, I know a lot of Europeans and North Americans love ski touring in the spring.
Right.
But not many people come here for the ski touring.
Mhm.
But there's some amazing peaks to get to.
Yeah, I've seen it.
and,
Like the terrain looks
yeah.
just amazing. Like
Mhm.
a lot of wide open
Mhm.
spaces.
Yeah.
And really good runs, and you can easily see all of them, and you and good tracks are right? And it is like actually quite easy to hike up, and then
Yeah, I mean, generally, you know, up
Look-
ridge lines, or in areas, you know, valleys that are, you know, easy to travel and or good access from the lifts with some cat roads in some places, or you know, the big thing here that is different than Niseko as well is just the valley bottom in Niseko is very rounded and wide. So it makes getting out, you know, it might be a little bit flat to get out, but you usually are not going to get hit by avalanches from your side. Here, when you get down to the bottom, you're in a V valley, and there's avalanche slopes on both sides. And whether that's small terrain or big terrain, all the terrain is like that. There's multiple waterfall areas and cliffs, and
so getting out is
you need to know where to go. A lot of the time, to miss like some holes. I don't know if you saw today down some of the river there. There's little holes around. Those holes are filling in now, but during the season sometimes they're quite big and you can fall into one of those holes. So carrying a rope is needed, yeah. I mean, the other thing for Niseko, I guess, is it's quite set up. It's very it's a new feeling resort. Niseko doesn't really have a long-standing culture. When I say people haven't really lived in Niseko for a very long time, it's more of an agricultural culture there. Same as here, but there's a very strong mountain culture here,
right?
Which I think I really clicked with. You know, really long-standing mountain guides and ski culture of over 100 years in this valley. You know, and just having those peaks every day when you're going to work, even if you're not skiing them that day or hiking up them, just getting to see those massive peaks, I think is something that really attracts me here. Yeah.
And probably, so that's the culture that's definitely there, like amazing, well, I mean, guiding providers and shops, rental shops, that's all there. And
Great
also
restaurants,
great
great food.
restaurants, exactly. Yeah. So that's another thing. So we had enjoyed already.
Western and Japanese and
Little bit of
Eastern
both.
food, and it's all sorts of different types of cuisine.
So also a little bit nightlife. How does that compare to Niseko, let's say?
I think Niseko has more nightlife. There's more partying going on. There's, you know, it's newer. It's quite, you'll see, I guess, it's quite high society sometimes. Very flashy new restaurants, very expensive comparatively in pricing. And then if you go to Moiwa, which is just this little tiny hill around the corner, it's very different. It's very much like it was when I first went up there 25 years ago. And it's little lodges and small little resort with you know, good runs, but small. Whereas, you know, Hanazono and Hirafu and those areas are very built up. And there's a lot of money has been injected into it, and there's a lot of people that want that. They want that that amount of you know, sort of I guess fancy built up places, but you don't feel mountain culture in those places. You just feel big resort. Like, it feels like Vale or something like that. You know, it's
Yeah, that is funny. So my sales guys at LUEX, they come here quite frequently, and they like that area more.
Over
Niseko. Yeah, so they're
this area more. Yeah.
Because also of the Alpine and the steeper, more challenging terrain, and also it's more affordable, and it's a little bit more.
It's more real. I think is another word you could use. It doesn't seem a little bit fake or created. It's more organic. It's kind of developed as the people have moved it along, kind of thing. It's not developers that have come in to develop something.
Right.
It's people on their own with their own hands. You know, their own lodges, their own this, their own that, and like myself, who didn't start with a lot of money, just with a concept in an area and the support of the community to get something going. And I think that says a lot for this area, that, you know, the community kind of dictates how things will move rather than certain developers dictating how things will happen. So it's a little bit of a different thing. And you can go to many different places. I mean, you've got Nozawa, Onsen.
Yeah, that's probably.
You've got, you know, you've got Miyoko, you've got, you know, various little Shigakogen. These are big sort of resorts, but then there's lots of little ones in between, kind of thing, and you can kind of push out a little bit. So the thing I like about this Nagano Niigata area is there's and even over to Yuzawa and Nayaba and there's just so many resorts in this close area that you can travel. You know, if you had 2 weeks here, you could hit, you know, maybe. So you would also provide that, I would assume. We can do that as well, yeah. So for backcountry tours as well. We don't do that with ski school or on-piste guiding. But we do that for our backcountry guiding or our off-piste guiding. Yeah, but and that's, you know, it's nice to have a road trip and head somewhere. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for coming over.
Yeah.
It was really valuable insights.
Yeah, great meeting you.
So we will post them in different channels and send it to you as well.
Yeah.
You can use it if you want to.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your stay.
We will, for sure.
Tomorrow it looks like it's going to be a heck of a day. The wind's really picked up, so.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably going to dump another meter or something like this, right?
Somewhere. There'll be a meter of new fresh somewhere.
Crazy.
Look in the valleys, but.
Perfect.
Yeah.